Okay, everybody. Welcome to the very last bird quiz. Here we are. Tomorrow is Friday, September 2nd. So I don't know when you're watching this, but summer's almost over. Okay, I'll try and get over it. All right. Let me see. There we go. All right. Ooh, that's not as good a picture as I thought it was going to be. Well, it'll do. The last 6 birds that you're responsible for are these 6, and I'll be posting a quiz to the Kia site as well. The first of those last 6 is the American goldfinch, which you see here. It is a beautifully striking bird, and if you have a bird feeder with food in it, thistle seed. It's a very fine seed. They will flock to it in large numbers. What you are seeing here on the screen is the male. He is bright, bright yellow with a vivid black cap, vivid black and white wings. You cannot mistake him for anything else. He's very, very easy to observe. I don't believe that you are responsible for a song for this guy. I think it's just the visual. I might play you a song just so you can hear it when we get in class, but I don't believe this was on your CD. So the visual, the female is more drab than this. She's more of an olivey green yellow than he is. He's the really vivid one. And in the winter, they both look quite similar. It's hard to tell them apart in the winter because his plumage changes entirely when it's not breeding season. And during this time of year, he's most likely still in his vivid yellow, bright breeding plumage, trying to attract females, although they should be done mating by now. So that's the American goldfinch. All right, red-tailed hawk. Now I've got a couple of pictures here. This is bird of prey. I think the only other bird of prey we've had so far has been an owl. Did we have an owl? I can't remember. I don't remember what was on the list. Now the first hawk picture I'm showing you is one of the hawks sitting in a tree. Red-tailed hawk is our largest bird of hawk that is not the eagle. The eagle's our largest bird of prey here in Central Virginia, but the red-tailed hawk is our largest hawk. Big bird, and as you can see here, this is a fully mature bird. They go through several stages of plumage, so you may have a juvenile that looks full-grown, but he doesn't have the proper coloring in did I say fur? Feathers. He doesn't have the proper coloring in his feathers. So he will look different. So we're only going to worry about the full adult plumage. You most often, though it's not unheard of, but most often you are not going to see a red-tailed hawk posing for you like this on a branch with his red auburn orange tail. Right there, being very clearly visible and his dark back, and he's looking at you in the eye. You most often will not see that. What generally you're going to see is a bird soaring above your head. So this might be the image that you see, and this is what I really want you to be able to identify, because this is what we'll be looking at. So here what you're seeing is a very light undercolor here. Obviously there's speckling underneath, but generally speaking, the overall impression is one of being light. And then what I would also like for you to note is the light. If the light is good, you will see this hint of this orange, this glow through the tail feathers, that red-orange tail. So that is what I want you to be able to see about a red-tailed hawk. Also, something you should know about hawks in general is that if you are looking at the bird, if it's flying and that's pointing its head at you, so its head is flying at you, that's what the circle represents, it would be holding its wings quite level. Okay, like that, as opposed to a vulture who, when soaring, if he's soaring right at you, you would see his wings being more in a V. So if you see a bird soaring and its wings are held in a V like that, that is probably a vulture and not a hawk. If you see a bird soaring and it is holding its wings quite flat, it's probably a hawk. Also, hawks tend to flap more than vultures do. So having said that, let's move on to our next hawk. All right, be that way. sorry, I'm getting used to some new software. All right, red-shouldered hawk. Okay, the red-shouldered hawk is a very common hawk, especially in our suburban neighborhoods, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but people have told me time and time again they've had a red-shouldered hawk nesting in their neighborhood right here in Smoke Tree. We've got one resting in our neighborhood as well, here where I am in Crestwood Farms. So I really hate new software. Sorry, guys and gals. Alright, we'll just do this the hard way. Alright, this is a red-shouldered hawk posing for you. Again, generally speaking, we don't usually see hawks just sitting on what looks like a trash can or a charcoal grill or something posing for us, but this can help. Notice the brown back is kind of similar to that red-shouldered hawk, but what I want you to also notice is this reddish breast here. That is a red-shouldered hawk, has this reddish breast. You don't get that feeling of whiteness underneath. It's a much smaller bird. It's not tiny, but it's much smaller than that red-tailed hawk. Now, what I really want you to notice is this photo, because again, we're going to see them over our heads more often than not right down here with us at eye level. Now, what I want you to see is this is where the name comes from. These red shoulders here, and they show up above the feather, on the feathers above the wings as well, but obviously we don't normally see that. And you can again see the idea of this darker breast, but this is a dead giveaway that this cannot be a red-tailed hawk, okay? The black and white striped tail. Okay. Oh, and I should be talking with you about the sounds these birds make when you listen to the CD. If you listen to the red-shouldered hawk, it is a persistent whine. You just want to smack him. He's just over and over again. Whereas if we go back, let's see. Let's just go to slide. Alright, to here, the red-tailed hawk. This guy has that traditional screeching, descending hawk sound, this keer, and it's a very long, drawn out, as opposed to this kind of just whiny sound that red-shouldered hawk makes. Okay, that's your red-shouldered hawk. There. Okay, osprey. This bird is going to be leaving our area fairly soon. I'd hoped you would see these over the summer. I'm getting you this a little bit late, but if you amble down to the river, you might well still see some of these around, or if you are down at the bay, within these last few weeks of warm weather, you could well see these, but they will start migrating south down to Florida. Ospreys are water hawks. They are fish hawks. In fact, that's another common name for them. They are similar to bald eagles in that regard. The osprey, in fact, is often confused for a bald eagle, but really they're quite easy to tell apart. But they both have the dark brown back, okay? And the overall impression, of course, is of a white head, but of course a bald eagle does not have this dark stripe of brown through the eye. And if you'll notice, of course, this osprey has a white breast that you do not see on a bald eagle. And it's also a smaller bird. Now, ospreys are much less skittish than hawks that we would find around here normally, because I guess you get a pretty clear view of them if they're sitting out over the water on a perch, and they don't feel threatened because they have the protection of the water around them. So you generally, when you see them, you get a good look at them, and you often do see them posed like this. But if you do see one flying overhead, okay, there is going to be a really distinct impression of a bright white belly and this bright white wing pattern here. You will get this striped feeling in the tail and in the wings here, but generally if you're near water and you see anything with this that looks like a bird of prey, and it's obviously not a bald eagle. It's going to be this guy, and this is just an awesome picture. I mean, look at these eyes. He's looking right at us, and look at that fish he's got. They go into the water, not head first, but feet first, and they grab fish with their talons and pull them out of the water and fly off to their nests. So, and osprey nests are fairly common to see around here as well, near the river if you're near water. Okay, great blue heron, also common birds here and at the bay and near water, and these are year-round residents. They will be here all year, and beautiful, beautiful, elegant birds, slate blue-gray back, the long, elegant feather coming off the head there, long legs. This bird's probably about a yard tall or more. The long stabbing beak for spearing and just grabbing fish. It's a wading bird, and it's going to be at the edges of the river or a pond or a creek or a bay or whatever, and fishing for whatever it can find. Fish, crabs, if it's in freshwater, frogs, things like that. If you see a heron flying, some people call them cranes when they see these birds. They have a long neck, these long legs, and some people call them cranes. They're not cranes, they are herons. And one way you can easily tell the difference is how they fly. If you see a bird flying with its neck, its head tucked back in and this S curve in its neck, that's a heron. Cranes fly with their necks straight out. So if this is the head and that's the bill, the neck is straight out and there's the body of the bird. They don't curve it in like that. So this is a heron. It is not a crane. And very common birds, year-round residents. Just don't get it. Okay. Nope, it's not going to do it for me. All right, one more. Sorry, guys. I'll try to learn how to work this thing. All right, last bird is the American crow, and I really do hate you. Not the crow. All right, now the crow is a blackbird. Okay, it is a pretty decent sized blackbird. It's not as big as a large hawk, but it's a decent sized bird. It's bigger than any of most little perching birds. It's bigger than a blue jay. And they are entirely black. Their eyes are black, their legs are black, their bill is black. They are quite intelligent, and what they say is caw. Okay, they caw. And there are a couple different kinds of crows. The American crow gives the distinct raspy caw sound that we associate with a crow. We'll learn another crow later on that's got a variation on that, but looks almost identical to this one. Now, I just wanted to show you two pictures because I want you to see that sometimes we cue in when we're looking at these photos on how the feathers look. Birds move their feathers. They can puff them out. They can flatten them down depending on what they're trying to do. And if you look at this bird, this is the same species of bird. This is another American crow. It's just that it happens to have these feathers down here kind of puffed out, and maybe his feathers around his head puffed out a little bit, and he looks a little bit different, but he is the same bird. So don't get thrown off by how a bird, it might be puffed up with his feathers. They can move them around. All right, that's all I've got for you. Please listen to the sounds with these birds, except for the goldfinch, because there's no sound on your CD for a goldfinch. So really you're only going to have 5 songs on your next upcoming quiz. Please remember that you can retake the quizzes until you get 100, and that's what I'm expecting you to do, is just keep taking the quiz until you get a perfect score. So please just keep doing that. I expect everybody to get hundreds in all these little bird quizzes, okay? All right, sorry this took so long, and thanks a lot for listening, and I will be catching up with you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.